What shape is this that I'm trying to fill in the yellows with? How do you know it's a square? Each distance are the same, right? That makes it a square, doesn't it? Well, for this particular problem, it's 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3. How could I find the area of this right here? How could I find out how many yellows I need? 3 times 3, right? Well, isn't that 9? Yeah. So don't you think I'd fill this in with plus 9 yellows? But I'm not going to have my algebra tiles with me every day to be able to put a blue one out, put some green ones out, figure out how many yellows go there. Well, I've already taken my greens and divided into 2 so I can figure out how many go on each side. 6 divided by 2 is what? Could I get the number 9 from the number 3? By squaring it. Will we do it that way every time? Yes. That's what makes it so nice. Okay? What if it was this? X squared plus 10x. What goes in the blank? Because half of 10 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. Are you all right? What goes here? Oh, 625? Is that what you're telling me the answer is? Yes. Because half of 100 is 50, and 50 squared is not 625. Why didn't you argue? This is not correct, is it? What goes here? What's half of 100? What's 50 squared? Stop touching your calculators. What is 5 squared? Crazy children. Guys, what would it have to be if it was this? What would have to go here? Could we go backwards? What is the square root of 625? 25. And then what would I have to do? Yeah. Absolutely. Can I try to trick you now? Is it? So what's half of negative 12? Negative 6. Negative 6 squared? Okay, so my question then is, will I ever subtract anything in that blank? Ever? Ever. Okay. Here's what I need you to be aware of. Okay? Oh, this is different. I want you to be aware that the calculator is going to do exactly what you tell it to. And if you choose not to use your brain, you're going to get the answer wrong. Because if I say negative 6 squared, look what the calculator tells me. The calculator did exactly what I asked it to, because it does order of operations. It squared the 6 and then multiplied by a negative. Is that what I wanted it to do? I wanted it to square a negative 6. That's what I wanted it to do. Okay? You know that if you square something, you should get a positive number, right? Because a negative times a negative is a positive. Don't just rely on the calculator because you are smarter than a button pusher. Most of you. Okay? That was just a joke. Okay? So, what I need you to realize before we go on, however, is this. What do you notice? So what do you wonder? What if it doesn't? Do I have to do that first? In fact, I have to. I have to divide everything by 3. I have to basically factor out a 3, right? So if I factor out a 3, divide each term by 3, I get x squared minus 10x. Then I have my blank. Now, I can see the wonder in some of your faces. What do I do with the 3? Because when we were factoring, remember we had to put it out front with parentheses there? Can I pause that question for a moment? Or maybe 14 moments? I just need to do another example first before I come back to this. But can we please fill in the blank? I already did this problem up here, didn't I? But it was plus 10. So why would I make you do it this way? Minus 10. To make sure you realize we're going to add 25 every time. If it's 10, no matter if it's positive 10 or negative 10. Here's where the difference comes there when the sign is there. Okay? Guys, we are literally doing something today called completing the square. We are physically, in our brain, figuring out how many yellows to add to this shape to make it a square. Okay? Once again, we're not going to be able to have our algebra tiles to use every time, so I taught you the way to do it without the algebra tiles. Divide the middle term, the b term, by 2 and square it to get your c term. Okay? I purposely did that on purpose. If I use the word purpose enough. You understand we did that like for serious. Okay? Because now this becomes what's called a perfect square trinomial. And that's a good thing. A really good thing. Because you can actually factor perfect square trinomials into something called a squared binomial. Because think about it in your head real fast. What multiplies to be 25 and adds to be 10? Isn't that x plus 5 times x plus 5? Exactly the same thing. So isn't that look like x plus 5 squared? Yeah. What does this one look like as its binomial? What does its binomial look like? X plus 50. What does this one look like? Okay. What does this one look like? X minus 6 squared. So here's the deal. To make sure you understand, because we went through those kind of fast, I need you to realize that there's 2 different places you can get that number from. What's one place you can get that number from? The square root of c, right? Isn't 5 the square root of 25? What is the other place you can get that from? Half of the middle. Shouldn't it be the same both times? Half of the middle should be that, and the square root of that should be that. Shouldn't it be that way on purpose, guys, because of the way we filled in the problem? Because we divided this by 2 and then squared it. So shouldn't that number be the same number? Okay, so what goes here then? Just this last one? X minus 5. Okay, so yes, the square root of 5 is 5, or square root of 25 is 5, but it could also be negative 5. So we look to the middle term to figure out what sign goes there. Does that make sense? Or if you're looking at this and dividing it by 2, you've got the sign not without a problem. You okay with that so far? Okay. So, why would, okay, let me ask you this question first. How many different ways are there to solve quadratics? I can think of 6 right now. I already taught you 3 of them, right? We did graphing, we did factoring, we did square roots, and now completing the square, right? I still have more to teach you, but that's why in the world would I teach you 6 different ways to solve quadratics? Maybe you can choose which one you like the most. It is in my TEKS. Yes, that's correct. You might see it in all those forms. It depends on how the problem is given to you, right? Don't you want to do the easiest way based on how the problem is given to you? Okay, so if I give you this problem right here, and I apparently have to use a different color besides blue because otherwise it turns the whole page blue. What if I give you this problem right here? X squared plus 6x minus 10 equals 0. Most people, when they see this problem, the very first thing that they want to try is factoring, right? For sure. Factoring seems like this would be so easy with factoring. So tell me what numbers multiply to be negative 10 and add to be 6. Uh-oh. There's not any, are there? So this is when we just cry? No. This is when we try something else. Okay? This is when we try something else. And the thing that we're going to try is completing square. Okay? Now on all of these problems that I just showed you, all these examples of actually completing the square, filling in the blank right here, what did I need in order to start the problem? I needed my x squared and I needed my x. Right? Then I have something here that I don't need. The only way I know to get rid of it is what? Add it to both sides. If I add it to both sides, please, before you write it down, watch how I write it down. What did I do? I went ahead and left a blank, right? I'm going to leave a blank. I usually actually write a line right there because I don't like blanks. I want to fill in the blank. Okay? Now we're going to do what we just did. How do I complete this square? 6 divided by 2 is, and 3 squared is 9. And when I add 9 to that side right there, I've now given myself 0 chance of getting this problem right. Do you agree with this statement right quick over here? Does 2 equal 2? It does, right? If I add 9 to this side, I get 11 equals 2. That's not true. 11 doesn't equal 2 and it will not equal 2. Unless, why did I write 1? Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Let me put my glasses back on. Oh, that's not good. If I add 9 to both sides, now does 11 equal 11? Okay, so if I put myself a blank here, I really need to put myself a blank over there too. If I only add it to one side of the equation, I have given myself 0 chances of getting this problem right. Okay, so if I add 9 here, I add 9 over here. Now that I have my trinomial, how do I want to write that? I want to factor it and write it as its binomial. What is the binomial of this trinomial? X what? X plus 3? Everybody understand why it's plus 3? Okay. Equals what? 19. Oh my gosh, this is exactly like a problem we did last week. Square root it. If I square root both sides, please don't let me down. On the left-hand side, I get x plus 3. On the right-hand side, I get? Excellent. Plus or minus the square root of 19. Because do you know the square root of 19? Neither do I. What do I have left to do to solve? Subtract 3 from both sides. X equal. Somebody tell me a wrong answer that somebody has told me already today. Right there. Remember I said a wrong answer? Okay, so 16, right? People have tried to say plus or minus the square root of 16. Is that a good thing to say? No. I can't put a number inside of there. I have to leave it out front. Now, we didn't address this part last week because nobody in here had a problem with it, but I'm making the video, so I want to address it to everyone. Okay? How many solutions did I just get? I just got 2 solutions. Can you tell me one of the solutions? Bella, can you tell me one? X equals negative 3 plus the square root of 19. Do you understand that that's one solution? So can you tell me the other solution? negative 3 minus the square root of 19. Okay? So what I heard last week was one solution was negative 3, the other solution was the square root of 19. Do you understand how people might get confused about that? Yes, please don't be one of them. Okay? Again, like I said, I don't think anybody here had that issue, but I just wanted to make sure that you understood what the two solutions that we got were. You okay with that so far? Okay, now I'm going to come back to the problem that we talked about just a minute ago. What do we do if there's a 3 there? Or a 2 or something like that? Okay? So what if this is the problem that you're given? 6x squared minus 48 equals negative 12x. This is different on many levels, isn't it? So what do you want to do first? So you want to add 12x first? I'm okay with that. Anything else you want to do at the same time? Add 48 to both sides? Because what does that do for us? It gets our x's together and our constant away. So what should I do now? Can I fill in the blank? I can't, can I? What has to be true for me to fill in that blank? This has to be 1. So how do I make it 1? So here's the deal. If I divide every single thing by 6, do I have to keep track of that 6 anymore? I do not, because I've divided every single term, both sides of the equation. When we were factoring, I didn't really have a side of the equation so much. I had to factor it, right? It was an expression more than anything. So I had to keep track of that 6. This time we're trying to solve an equation. I don't have to keep track of that 6 anymore because I've divided every single term by it. I've taken care of it. Okay? So that simplifies to 1. So I just have x squared. This simplifies to 2. So I have 2x. And this simplifies to 8. So now can I fill in my blanks? Yes. Someone who hasn't spoken yet, can you please tell me what goes in the blank? Yeah. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. If I add it to one side, I add it to both sides. Okay? From my trinomial, where do I go? Binomial. What is my binomial in this problem? X plus 1, right? Squared. So yes. So it's either the square root of 1, which is 1, or half of 2, which is 1. Okay? Equals what? 9. And now, square root both sides. X plus 1 equals, which is 3. If I subtract the 1 from both sides, I'm going to get a different looking answer than before. What is 3 minus 1? 2. What is negative 3 minus 1? Guys, don't leave it plus or minus 3 minus 1. Don't do that. That's something you can do either with your head or I suppose with your calculator, but boy, I hope not. Okay? 3 minus 1 is 2. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. That is my answer. So you want to write x equals 2 and x equals negative 4? That's fine. This way just uses less graphite. Questions about this? How comfortable do you feel completing the square? Awesome.